Hey YouTube, 3D Printed Life here, and today, oh no, never. Today I just wanted to do a quick update as far as the status of the printer upgrade that I've been working so hard on for the past week. It is essentially done at the moment. There's nothing else I can do until I start getting parts. I can start printing some test pieces to make sure everything fits, and then I can start really printing the pieces. So this is really it. This is essentially the printer done. This is what it's going to look like for those of you who order it, and for me who makes it. For myself, of course, because I want one too. So let me just go over some of the stuff that's changed. First of all, I've added the Z screw in, and I've noticed that it is actually shorter than I expected. Right now I have it just flush with the top of the stepper motor, which I'm planning on getting a 3D printed or a metal flexible coupling right here, and I expect it to not have too much of a gap in between them, maybe a little bit. But the good part about this is that the height of this part is adjustable, because it just mounts to those two rods, and then it has the bearing in it, and of course set screws back here. There they are, with the nuts. So that's essentially the top stop for it, which will be changed. I mean, not changed, it can be adjusted according to your needs. Now in addition to that, I've also planned out where I was putting the end stops, but I haven't put them in yet because I don't have dimensions for them and mounting holes. The end stop for this tray, this sliding back and forth, it's going to be located on this piece, I forget which side, behind these two screw holes, and then this piece there's going to be a nut on the back here that you can adjust the length to come in contact with that end stop. For this, let me grab it, this motion, the end stop is going to be in the front here. Ooh, move back a little. Sorry about the lag, but my computer, it's pretty decent, but there's so much stuff here that it's pretty bad. This end stop's going to be going on this piece, and there will be again a nut on this piece, or a screw I mean. I will figure out all that spacing out later. And then for the Z1, I will include a mount on this piece and a screw on this piece, or I mean the end stop on this piece, and the screw is going to be on this piece. So that's really all the end stops, so they should be fine. They should be going in no problem. Just a sec. Sorry, I just had to gather my thoughts. So the other change I've made was to the bed. I have made it so that this piece is a bit thinner. I still have no clue what I'm going to make this black piece out of that's highlighted right here. I want to do plexiglass, of like a black frosted plexiglass, but that's going to cost an extra 15 bucks per kit. I don't know if it's worth it. I might do a wood paneling spray painted black. Still not too sure. So until I have that figured out, well, I don't really have to have that figured out for a while now, because it's just essentially a base piece that will screw in to here, so it's just going to have holes in it and whatnot. For the bed, I've decided to make it removable without having to have two beds like you usually see. I'm going to do this just by having the nut, screw, spring assembly all on this one piece, and then have 3mm holes bored into the plexiglass, not all the way through, just so it can sit on top there. So this way I can save money by not having to have two pieces of plexiglass right on top of another, as well as save Z height and really just make it easier. These should be snug enough to be like rigid enough, I mean, that it shouldn't cause any problems, especially since the Z bed isn't really moving other than up and down. But of course I will do testing to make sure that's fine, and worst case I can just drill the rest of the way through and just have it mount like a normal bed, which wouldn't be that big of a deal. It just wouldn't be too easy to remove. Also, it's 3-point mounting, which is like a billion times better according to everybody who's ever tried it. I've never had a well, the 2-up was my first printer, so of course I've never had a 3-point leveling bed, but it does seem quite a bit easier. as most things nowadays have 3-point leveling, because this just makes more sense. Other than that, I added these pulleys. I checked to make sure that there would be enough clearance for the belt in this gap in the slider, and there's about, at a minimum, I think there's about 4 or 5 millimeters of clearance, so that should be perfectly fine. Everything lines up. Really, the last thing I have to do, other than the end stops, is make the tensioning system for the belt right here. As you can see, I kind of started it, but then I realized that I don't have the proper dimensions for the belt, so I can't go much further. So I'm waiting for that. That's unfortunately a China shipment, so that's going to take a while. So what I'll probably end up doing is printing everything but this extruder slider, and then when I finally get the belt, I will finish designing this and print that. But I got all that to figure out. So statuses as far as parts that I've ordered essentially everything. Only thing I haven't ordered was the bed material and this, again, this panel thing that I still don't know what I'm going to do. Reason being is if I can go to like my local Lowe's or Home Depot and they have a big sheet of 1/4-inch plexiglass for relatively cheap, I might be able to cut out both the bed and this bottom piece from that big sheet and save quite a bit of money and still have it look nice with plexiglass rather than wood. Worst case, I'll do wood. I'll spray paint it black. Yeah, that would really be it. Oh, one last thing. I am trying to make support for heated beds. It's difficult because they're so heavy, and they're smaller than the actual working area, which means the end stops won't really work quite so well, which could definitely be an issue. So I'm still trying to figure that out. What I believe I'm going to do is I might make this piece a tiny bit wider so that you can just bolt the, or not bolt, you can add the leveling springs directly to this piece and have it go into the MDF piece that holds the basalt bed. And so essentially this would just be like the old bed but with different mounting holes. But yeah, I still have to figure that out. And then also a problem would be possibly the weight. It's 2 pounds. I have no doubts that this will be able to support the weight of the plexiglass and a decently sized print on the print bed. I made this pretty rigid. The bearing holders are without a doubt strong enough. I'm going to even reinforce them further probably soon. So really it's just a matter of if it will be strong enough to hold the heated bed, which I'm not too sure at the moment. But I have planned for that. If that does happen, I will add a sort of, what's it called? The same kind of cabling system that Phantom Operator used, except with belts. So it will include belts at the front left and the front right corner, and they will go up. There will be mounts on here with bearings that will bring it up just a tiny bit shy of the top of this piece, bring them across, and then drop them down inside here somewhere, where they will then attach to this piece. So it won't look too pretty if I do have to do that, and I'm really hoping I don't have to, but worst case, I'd rather do that than have no support for heated beds. And that again would be only for those who have a heated bed or are thinking of getting the basalt heated bed, or basalt, whatever, because you could get a glass heated bed, or like, yeah, well, a glass heated bed, I guess, and those don't weigh nearly as much, so that would probably work fine with this design too, and it would still look kind of pretty. But that's all stuff that I'm gonna have to test, and I can't really let you know for a while. So this is probably the last video about this printer for a good week or so until I start getting all the components in and start building it. I'll definitely keep you guys updated. I did look into international shipping for those of you interested, and I do think I'll be able to do it, but I think it may be best if for the international people, or even domestic domestic people who want this, just to order the Misumi stuff yourself, because it's basically just ordering and shipping, and this is the biggest and heaviest components of the thing. So it doesn't make too much sense for me to have it shipped to my house, only to pack it up and then ship it back to you. whereas all the other stuff requires some modification or printing. Or it comes from China, and I know most people don't want to wait a month for it. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. So that's all logistic-y stuff to be figured out at a later point. But it's looking pretty good so far. The price, if I'm able to do this panel cheap enough, it's looking like the price will be about $225 to $230 for the base model. Adding $10 for end stops, adding $40 if you need the rods because you have a 1-up and not a 2-up. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So yeah, I mean, like I said, all that stuff's gonna be figured out eventually. It's just a matter of time. So, thank you all for watching. I'll stop blabbing now, and I'll see you all later.